Awakened Radio at awakenedradio.net is truly a people-powered radio station. We are self-supported by our host, our staff, and you, our listeners. Thank you so much for joining us at the website and clicking our donate button, which you can find above the chat room, as well as sprinkled throughout several of the pages. Join us at awakenedradio.net. Be the difference, walk the difference, live the difference. It is time for a new paradigm, and that is all of us working together as one to create the experiences that we all want to experience. Thank you for your love and support of the Awakened Radio family at awakenedradio.net. And now, back to the show.
Hi, this is Rob. I'm here with your awakening senses, your unfolding senses. And this week we're going to talk about how to treat the world as your oracle. So what this is, basically putting a question out into the world and then waiting for an answer to come back to you. Now, you might think of this as viewing your life as if it's a waking dream or you're embarking on a personal vision quest. It's not the same as some of the native cultures that have been working with this for millennia, but it's a way for us to really tap into our own personal symbolism and see what's out there for us. So we're basically looking at our life as a living thing. We're living beings, so why can't our life be treated that in the same way? And we can ask for the help that we need. And I guess that's the real key feature here today, is allowing yourself to be open to asking for the help that you need. So it's basically seeing the world as your oracle. So instead of having a tarot card reading or looking at your astrology chart, we'll be looking for a sign or a symbol to show up from your life. Like they say, you'll know it when you see it. It'll be something that stands out, something that speaks symbolically or metaphorically. So an event may be seen as suggesting something deeper when you're viewing it from a symbolic or metaphorical process. So imagine that whatever personal shows up is important for you. With that in mind, just as if you're having a reading done, have a clear and concise question in your mind, and what have you been wondering about? It doesn't have to be a big, powerful, life-altering question. It could be something simple. So simply ask that you be given a sign or a symbol that will help you to solve your question. You might think of it as the question as living within your heart, and the heart being a beacon for the answer to find you. So I had a little quote here that I thought was appropriate, and it's from Hafiz, and it's, "Ever since happiness heard your name, has been running through the streets trying to find you." So think of your answer as out there just trying to find you. Here's another one from Ralph Waldo Emerson. When we have arrived at the question, the answer is already near. So ask your question with an open heart and a willingness to believe that there is an answer. It's near, or you already have it. You just haven't tuned into it yet. And of course, however you were viewing the world on our personal vision quest or as our oracle, even though we can view it that way, it's not negating or lessening the significance of real life. It's still important. We're not diminishing it in any way. Now, of course, compassion and gentleness is important. Don't worry if your answers come back right away. Start slowly. Perhaps you might want to look for your answers in books or movies or poetry in the beginning, just to start slow so that you're not struggling through your day saying, where's my answer? You open up a book and read a poem. Open up a book and read a story. We, as a culture today, really have become disconnected from the way we lived in the past. One of the primary ways that, like I was mentioning earlier, that many cultures lived was the inner world was really part of the outer life. It was rich and symbolic, and everything was important. They had a deeper connection to intuition, but they also had vision quests, and often rites of passage for the young people was going on a vision quest. Of course, that was a deeper and more complex process than ours, and because they lived more connected to intuition and spirit, and they're very deeply healing rites of passage. So I'm not comparing this to that, but we're really trying to tap into something that's very powerful and readily available to us. And of course, I was just thinking how some of the stories you might hear about the participants and of the Vision Quests are really very neat to hear about, especially when you read about some of the stories from Patrice Sommet, Melodoma Patrice Sommet. He wrote Of Water and Spirit, about living and growing up in a small village in Africa. And he was abducted by priests at a young age and taken away to be raised in the church. And eventually he escaped and made his way back home. He hadn't lived there in over 16 years or so, but he managed to find his way traveling on foot about 100 miles or so. And the village elders at the time allowed him back in, but he had to go through his own vision quest. And it was difficult for him because he was older, much older than the rest of the participants. So he knew the risks, and he still went through with it, and he's become a well-known and respected author and teacher. And he really talks about the vision quest and the spirits and the guides that he met and his grandfather met. And it's a very powerful story, whether you look at it as true or as a myth or parable. It's still a very powerful story, and it might be one that you'd enjoy reading to really connect with what we're trying to do here, which is really make room for the spirit, make room for intuition in our lives. And again, that's called Of Water and Spirit. And what reading that can help you is how to understand how cultures prepare for going into their vision quest and how we can prepare ourselves. So, as part of the preparation, a person normally receives training from a shaman or a medicine man or some other spiritual leader. But today, you'll have to find that from a book, or maybe you've encountered someone that's teaching a course, or maybe even just yourself. So whatever way you find that works for you, I suggest that you use that support to help you deepen to your intuition. There's many really good books out there that can help you open up to your intuition. One of them I mentioned last week and on my tweets was Compass for the Soul. And if you're interested in this topic, I forgot to mention Skype to connect with us here is 334-649-7204. Call in and contribute to the conversation as long as it's related to intuition and being your own oracle. It's also awakenradio.net. You can find me at Awakened Rob at Twitter, and follow my tweets back to Facebook, like my Facebook account, and back to main show here. So again, the number is 334-649-7204. Now, one of the tools that can really help you open up is, as I was mentioning, stories, poetry, myth, allegories, even something that you create yourself through your own writing. All these can be very powerful connections to different parts of ourselves, our lives. It can really help you to more deeply connect with your own symbolism. Once you start to look at the poetry or the story, you say, oh, wow, now I understand what that meant. So now you're more open to seeing events in outer life symbolically in the same way. So one thing, if I like to work with poetry. Mary Oliver has some really great poetry, and I'll read one of those later. But you might find in the book of poems, and before you go to bed at night or when you wake up, pick a poem and find a quiet time to work with it. Sit in a window, go out in nature, find a plant, sit next to it, light a candle, and read the poem aloud to yourself, or the story if you like stories, or write and speak it aloud to yourself. The words can be very powerful, very healing. It's connected to being inventive and artistic, and journal, and even it could be related to journaling. So it's really allowing you to tap into yourself, your feelings, your emotions. So pay attention not only to what you're reading, but what you're feeling. So as you're reading, whatever catches your eye might speak to you in some way symbolically, but later you'll catch its meaning and you'll allow yourself to more deeply tap into the symbolism of that. So you might take whole poems or paragraphs from your story or simple phrases, tape them up around the house, whatever works for you. Emily Dickinson has a great quote on how powerful this can be. It's, if I read a book and it makes my whole body so cold no fire can ever warm me, I know that is poetry. If I feel physically as if the top of my head has been taken off, I know that is poetry. So she's really talking about how powerful the poetry can be. So it's give voice to your story, to your allegory, find a way to get that out and let it be a part of you. So you're now connecting more to your breath, the sound, the vibrations of the words coming out of your mouth. And that's really helping you to connect with how you're feeling, how you're being in the world. So it's also giving a voice to the parts of yourself that you don't normally connect to. So you're really allowing yourself to transform and change and grow on deeper levels that you might not recognize. And writing in the same way allows you to connect with some of the same things that the poetry and the stories do, but it really lets you see some of your inner strengths and inner capacities, how strong they can be, and also recognize how vulnerable you are. So some ideas for that might be to use index cards and write down, like I was saying, your favorite story quotes, favorite poems, favorite song words, whatever they might be. When you're feeling down, you might write and record your thoughts that connect to this poetry or story that you've written down on your card. You might even have a bunch of index cards and use all your quotes and sayings as sort of a mini divination deck. So when you're facing a question, there's your answer right there. You've made your own oracle, and they're all your own words and things that you enjoy and have connected to. So you're using the stories and the poems as a way to divine more about yourself. Next thing that might help you to tap into the power of your intuition and prepare yourself to go on your own vision quest is gratefulness and forgiveness. And I have Pema Chodron talks about this. She says, There is a simple practice we can do to cultivate forgiveness. First, we acknowledge that we feel shame, revenge, embarrassment, remorse. Then we forgive ourselves for being human. Then, in the spirit of not wallowing in the pain, we let go and make a fresh start. We don't have to carry the burden with us anymore. We can acknowledge, forgive, and start anew. If we practice this way, little by little, we'll learn to abide with the feelings of regret for having hurt ourselves and others. We will also learn self-forgiveness. Eventually, at your own speed, we'll even find our capacity to forgive those who have done us harm. We will discover forgiveness as a natural expression of the open heart, an expression of our basic goodness. This potential is inherent in every moment. Each moment is an opportunity to make a fresh start. So in this moment, you can forgive yourself and begin the process of your own forgiveness. Brian Weiss has this. He says, forgive the past, it's over. Learn from it, let it go. People are constantly changing and growing. Do not cling to a limited, disconnected, or negative image of a person in the past. See that person now. Your relationship is always alive and changing. So see yourself that way too. Next thing I recommend is compassion, as I was mentioning before, and especially Tonglen, which Pema Chodron talks about a lot. And it's not about escaping from our lives. Rather, it's opening ourselves up to our lives and allowing them to unfold in new ways, tapping into our full potential, being curious, and being grateful. So, for a while, I practiced compassion and Tonglen. I was taking a class that really facilitated that, and for almost half a year, or a little more than that, I worked with compassion and Tonglen, first for myself, and then for other people in my life. And one of the most powerful experiences that I had while I was doing that is I practiced Tonglen for someone that I struggle with at work, and eventually I realized that, well, I put it that they had changed, but of course I realized I was the one that had changed. So I still work with this. It's basically breathing in something that you fear or is heavy and dark, and then transforming it in your heart and breathing it out as joy and release, or whatever, however you phrase that. And again, I'll tweet that a little later, but it's called Tonglen, Tonglen, and Pema Chodron talks about it in all her books. Also, in Shambhala Sun this month online, whole article for free. And here's what Sharon Salzberg says about compassion. She says, sometimes we think that to develop an open heart, to be truly loving and compassionate, means that we need to be passive, to allow others to abuse us, to smile and let anyone do what they want with us. Yet this is not what it's meant by compassion. Quite the contrary. Compassion is not at all weak. It is the strength that arises out of seeing the true nature of suffering in the world. Compassion allows us to bear witness to that suffering, whether it is in ourselves or others, without fear. It allows us to name injustice without hesitation and to act strongly with all the skill at our disposal. To develop this mind state of compassion is to learn to live, as the Buddha put it, with sympathy for all living beings without exception. So with that in mind, I skip to the next step, which is really paying attention to the outer world, being observant, allowing, and what I call keeping your symbolism eyes open and on. So imagine yourself putting on a pair of glasses, or maybe a set of goggles like the X-Men, and seeing the world from a different perspective so that you can see the symbolism that is dancing in your life right in front of you. And so when you feel that something clicks and it speaks to you, that's your message. So again, we're talking about how to open to intuition and use the world as your oracle. Our number here is 334-649-7204. You can join us in the chat room at awakenradio.net. You can follow me personally on Twitter at AwakenRob on Twitter, or Numbers by Rob on Twitter, which is my main account. I mainly talk about numerology there. And I have links to my Facebook page on both of those accounts. So please like my page and come join us here in the chat room, awakenradio.net, or call us 334-649-7204. So back to our question. We form a question that clearly in our mind, state it, and ask and be open to an answer coming back to us, and look at it as sort of our own personal vision quest. And whatever you've been pondering or struggling with, just ask to be given a sign or a symbol that will help you to solve that. Now, it doesn't have to be a big, world-changing question. It can be small and personal. It doesn't have to be a difficult question. It could be, show me blank. Show me how I can be the type of person I want to be, whatever. Fill that in. It might be an idea you've had on the back burner. It might be something you need help or guidance with. It might be something that you felt drawn towards. Whatever it is, it should be something that really matters to you. And once you've expressed your intention, be open to receive the answer in a way that is obvious and maybe even earth-shattering, but it doesn't have to be. Maybe not. Just be open to recognizing when you see an unusual event that it could be your answer. And again, by going back to the stories and the myths and the parables and the poetry, you can really develop a deeper personal intuitive sense to your own intuition. If you're into numbers, like I've been my whole life, they might speak to you. Whatever speaks to you and helps you connect more deeply to your intuition, use that. And for a lot of people, that's the words and the stories and the myths and the poetry and the whatnot. It might be through TV or movies. That might help you if you're a more visual person, whatever it is, connect with that. One of my favorite oracle stories is about finding a pin. I had asked about taking and becoming involved in a 3-month-long personal development course, and it involved a lot of not just sitting around talking, but kind of what they call ropes courses, where you're out climbing ropes and scaling walls and a lot of team building stuff. But it also taught you how to connect with your emotions and really speak from your heart. So I asked about taking it, and I went to the movies that day, and there was a box of pins sitting on the table in front of the cashier. They were all heart-shaped, and I bought one and saw that there was a lion on my pin when I went home. Just saw that there were pins, and when I got home, I recognized that it was lion from one of the movies popular at that time. Anyway, so that really said, well, it's all about connecting to your heart and having courage to speak with what's in there. So go ahead and take that. And that was a really powerful message. So now you might wonder what to do next after you ask your question. And I said, as before, again, don't struggle with it. Just go out on your normal day, go for a walk, go to the mall, go to the bookstore, coffee shop, go for a ride. Be creative and see what comes out of it. Watch a movie or television. Just, lead your life as you normally would. I mentioned the heart pin story. That was really powerful for me. Another one that happened more recently was I was really just at the beginning of getting into Twitter, and I asked in Twitter and Facebook and all the social media, and I asked about how I could best do that. And I went about my day, and I was going I think I actually was going to the mall, and I got lost because I hadn't been there in a while. And I went down a back street and went to a light and turned around, and there was this big gray warehouse building. And I look up, and there's the name of the building, or the name of the company, which was Ragozzine's, which is not my actual name. Just my name ends in an E, and that was an O. But there they were, nondescript factory. I guess they make sauce here in Connecticut, and pasta sauce. But it was a plain, ordinary building that you probably wouldn't recognize if you were just driving and going about your day. And that really hit me that, wow, no one's going to find this gray building if they're not looking for it. So it really allowed me to see the social media in a new way, is that to really get to know people, you have to go out and get to know them. You have to connect with them, and not just send out tweets or post on your Facebook, but actually interact with people. So that was one really powerful and big story for me, big message for me. And I started to use that to really get into more of the social media and learn more about myself. Again, the number here is 334-649-7204. Please call in if you have a question. We'll be going on break soon, but after that, you can call in with your questions. We're at awakenradio.net so that you can contact us and enter the chat room there. And you can reach me at Twitter at AwakenedRob on Twitter, or Numbers by Rob on Twitter, which is my main account. And like my Facebook page when you find that tweet, and go from there. I'm more than willing to help if you have a question about this and you're tweeting and you see me tweeting. You can ask me, well, how do I really be my own oracle? Just the best advice I can really give you is to start today, start right now, and just try asking a question and go about leading your life like I was just talking about. You don't have to struggle with it or stress. Something we'll talk about in a few minutes is the recurring numbers that a lot of people see, like 1111 or 111. Think about those as almost oracles that have come to you. So we'll talk about that when we come back from break. But to recap what I've been talking about, it's really about opening to your intuition, being your own oracle by finding a place in your heart to put the question, and then going out and leading your life as if the heart is a beacon to find your answer. And I read a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson that said, when we have arrived at the question, the answer is already near, so believing that your answer is already out there, but it's really in here, in your heart, it's already there for you. So when you finally connect with that, to recognize it, accept it, and really bring it in and honor it, because we're all intuitive. We just don't recognize our messages when they come to us. And I guess we have 1 minute left, so I will again thank you for being here and give you the number while we're here. It's 334-649-7204 to connect with us, and it's awakenradio.net. On Twitter at Numbers by Rob or Awakened Rob, and you can connect with me there and follow me and join my Twitter page and like my Twitter page. I'll talk with you soon after the break.
Cardi, look over there. I have a 25% discount. Click it with your mouth and you won't make it angry.
You are listening to the Awakened Radio Network at awakenedradio.net. happy fall and to celebrate, you can now save 25% in our Awakened store. What will you find there? Well, stones, crystals, gemstone jewelry, autographed copies of Donna Devane, the Barefoot Guru's books. You'll also find smudging kits. You'll find fans and hair feathers and a whole lot more, including one-on-one healing and energy sessions with Donna and some of our hosts. How do you get the savings, you might want to know? It's easy. Head on over to awakenedradio.net. Look up at the top where it says Awakened Store. Click on that. Pay attention to the graphic because the coupon code is right there. Copy and paste into your checkout for a savings of 25% off. Awakened Radio, your listener-supported, online, global radio station where we all come together to share the love and the energy of change that we know ourselves to be. Thank you so much for clicking on our love gift and donate buttons throughout the website. Your support is very appreciated. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing and making real your love and your appreciation for what all the hosts at Awakened Radio are doing. This is Donna Devane, station owner, saying we really appreciate your help. And now, back to the show.
Hi, this is Rob, and we're back to the show. Again, as the number is 334-649-7204, and we're at awakenedradio.net. We're talking about opening to our intuition and using the world as our oracle. You can call in and talk about how you're doing that. I had mentioned melanoma some before, and I didn't mention what I thought was really cool is the Lakota Sioux had a word for Vision Quest, which is Hambalacha, and it really translates to crying for a dream or something like that, which means really going out into the world and waiting for your answer to come to you. Now, as I mentioned before, we're not trying to compare our process to theirs, but we really have the capacity to tap into our intuition in this way, to go out and hunt down our answers, but we're really just allowing them in. So some tools that you can use are stories and allegories and poetry and writing, so that you can really tap into your inner feelings and work with those. The stories hold energy, and when you connect with them, you let that go and connect with it on a deeper level, and now you know what that feels like. So once you look for that in the personal level, you can find more of that out in the real world. Now, I had mentioned before the break about the numbers, the recurring numbers like 1111 or 111. So what that is a message coming to you. And what I recommend when you see those, to sit down and record your thoughts and feelings and ask yourself, how do you feel? How do I feel? What do I think these numbers mean? Treat it almost as a dream. And you might use the numbers as a key into a book or a movie. So paging to the 11th page and reading a chapter there, or forwarding yourself in a movie 11 minutes in and then seeing what the movie is saying about itself, and you can apply that to your life. I have several posts on my site on recurring numbers, which is blog.simplynumbers.com, and you can go there and read all about numerology, of course, but you can also read about the recurring numbers. And what I mentioned there is what I just said, is the going forward in a movie and seeing what's being said. And one of the movies that I was working with this was Shutter Island, and I forwarded it to 11 Minutes, and they were talking about a prisoner that had escaped the night before. So then you might ask yourself, well, what part of me has escaped? What have I let go? And I was really looking at that as, since it was a story about a woman who had escaped, to look at the parts of yourself that you're not, at least the parts of myself that I wasn't letting to be soft. Now, men and women can be soft, and we don't want to get too deep into the psychology of all this, but to look at how you can speak from your heart, and that's what I was really looking at there. How can I speak from my heart, and where have I let that escape? So look at these numbers as some sort of message. And I had, again, talked about how Doreen Virtue has a book about this, but I also talk about it on my site. So look, and there's also the common meanings of the numbers. So one is often about initiation and creativity and new beginnings. So look at what you're trying to start in your life and really find a way to begin it and go after it with all your heart. And again, my site is blog.simplynumbers.com. Numbers by Rob on Twitter, and Awakened Rob on Twitter, which I mainly tweet about this show, and my Numbers by Rob I tweet about numerology, healing, and many different topics, whatever interests me that day. Now, back to the numbers. Shamans back in the ancient days would interpret the meaning of animals that appeared in their visions, and they'd use the visions to lead the tribes to safety and find medicine, water, food, whatever they needed. And so now, today, many people try to use their dreams in the same way, only we're really working with them for ourselves. So perhaps these images, like a dream or the symbols from a shamanic vision, might help you to look at them as containing important guidance. So you might ponder, what message do they carry? What wisdom do they have to offer? And what empowering actions might they be connected to? So don't brush those questions off. Really try to sit with them and write whatever comes to you, record it in some way, whether it's in a paper journal or a voice recorder, whatever it is. It's really about connecting to their message because they've come to you. And that's can be a really powerful totem. Okay, it looks like I'm getting a call.
Howdy.
Howdy. How are you?
Pretty good. I'm a mad painter. I got a question for you. You're talking about the numbers.
Yes.
What do you think about random numbers just appearing in your head?
That can be treated in the same way as the 1111, 333, whatever numbers are appearing. If they're more than once, on more than one occasion, they could have some deeply important significance. That's what I'm trying to say. So, what numbers are appearing to you?
Oh, shoot, random numbers. It's just a lot of them, a lot of different times. I've just never figured them out. For years I've been trying to figure them out and I haven't been able to figure them out. There's no sequential numbers or nothing. They're always different.
No, do you keep a journal of any kind?
No.
It might help to recall whatever you're thinking or feeling and record that when you see these numbers in your mind, whether they're in a dream or in real life. It doesn't matter. Just find a way to take a moment and jot down what you're thinking about, what you're feeling, write them, and then Have you studied numerology in any way? Had a numerology reading?
Not really. No, Donna knows me. I'm a radio host myself, and I get into a lot of different stuff, but I don't study anything in particular. And sacred geometry is pretty intense, if you know what I mean.
It can be, but it doesn't have to be. Each number has its own basic number meaning, which I was mentioning before. So, like the 1 can mean new beginnings, creativity, individuality, and then you can look to the tarot too for additional meanings to all the numbers. And of course, what you perceive as the number meaning is really important for you. It's not necessarily what I'm saying they mean. It's what you recognize in them. You can, like, this is all about being your own oracle. So it's throwing away the books, not needing me, working with yourself and the tools that you have. So finding a way to record what you're feeling and thinking at that time might show you some correlations to particular numbers. And then there's also always good questions that you can ask. Like I was mentioning before, one of them might be, what do you have to offer me? What's your guidance? What have I forgotten about? How can I allow myself to deepen? So you can ask those questions of the numbers and then write them down or do some artwork or go for a walk, whatever it is, so that you can tap into their significance. Because they can be, just like a dream, they can be very significant. They might be related to something that you're doing. Maybe there's an overall theme that they're connected to. Has it been all your life, or do they just appear at certain...
All my life.
So
I'm kind of semi-intuitive.
Yeah. Well, we're all intuitive.
Yeah.
So...
And I work off gut feelings and stuff like that.
It's intuition.
Right. That's what most people call it, yes.
Yeah. So it might be a feeling. It might be a sensation. It might be through visions. It might be through sound. It might be through touch, taste. Intuition can come in many, many, many ways. So don't call yourself semi. Just call it full intuition, and your intuition comes in that way. So the numbers could be a key to something. It could be helping you to connect with your intuition. It might be related to something else.
Right. Well, I wasn't saying I was semi-intuitive. I said I was semi-empathic. There's quite a big difference, I think. But I'm an artist too, and I see these numbers in my art, but not in a numeral form, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
I have discovered them there. You know, after doing a picture and then looking at it, I discover some of these numbers, but they still don't make no sense.
Well, right there, what you can do is ask the art what it's trying to convey and do another piece on the answer. So the art is your oracle, but you might not understand what it's saying to you, so you can ask the art to help you go deeper and do another piece to more fully understand what it's trying to convey. So just like if you were working with a dream and you created some art, but you didn't understand it because it was so complex or whatever, you can always ask for another answer to come to you through your art. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, it does. It does. I appreciate you talking with me. I'm going to drop off so somebody else can call in and ask a question, and I think you're doing a good job. You got a great radio voice, and you're at a good station, believe it or not.
I do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay. Again, you can call in at 334-649-7204. And thanks for calling in, Colin. And you can join us in the chat room at awakenradio.net. So don't be afraid to ask some offbeat questions. Oh, back to Colin. He's telling me that he sees primes. what immediately hits me on that is Rain Man, the movie, and I don't know why. Maybe there's something in that movie for you. I'm tending to think that there is. I don't know what the message would be for you. Maybe it's about something about being orderly or more connected to your intuition. It's something about structure. I guess pay attention to that. Maybe the movie might help you learn more about what I'm saying, but I really get something strong about structure. So, and here are some offbeat questions that might help Colin and everyone else. Where are you in my life? Oh, he says he follows intuition and structure things. It's his job, so that's pretty cool. Thanks, Colin, again. Where are you in my life? Who are you in my life? So maybe these numbers are talking about a person, maybe an animal, maybe you're looking for a pet, and they might be related to that. What kind of music do you like? So maybe the numbers are talking about jazz or blues, which can be really structured. Maybe they're talking about some other favorite music. I'm just talking about some of my own. Where do you like to spend your time? So maybe they're pulling you into some activity that might be helpful. Maybe it's an avocation. And something that I talk about a lot is you might be following your passion, and it doesn't have to be your job that fills all of your passion. It can fill many buckets. So you might have an avocation that really you're passionate about, but it'll never be your main job or whatnot. It's just a way that you express yourself and helps you to tap into a lot of things that make you you. So another question that you can ask is, what questions should I be asking? You might be confused and not know what to ask, so that might be the first question that you ask at all. What should I be asking? I don't know. I feel foolish doing this. So don't feel foolish. Ask that question. Another question you might ask is, where do I need to be more independent? Or how can I be of service? Maybe you will get some benefit from that, and the numbers are guiding you there. Whatever your answer, wait for it, record any images, thoughts, feelings, or ideas that come up around it. Be patient, be calm. It might take some time for the full answer to come to you, so try not to make your process overly serious and be open to having fun with it. Ultimately, we're trying to find a way to work with our intuition and the numbers, in this case that we were talking about, in a way that's encouraging and empowering. So, again, I recommend that if you're seeing numbers, you might go to the tarot. I'm not sure of the immediate correlations of all the tarot cards that relate to the odd primes, but that's pretty easy to find. Anyway, keep a log and track your questions and your sightings and your answers. And over time, you might notice that you have a common thread to all of your answers, and that might lead you in a particular path. So when you begin to notice this common thread, you'll have a course of action that you can take. For instance, you might notice that your answers tend to relate to a particular emotion or feeling. You might then begin to look more deeply at these particular emotions to see how you typically express or react to them. And don't be afraid to explore, as whatever you discover could be a part of a much larger process that you're helping to unfold. And again, you might use the numbers to go to a particular page or chapter in a book that you've read. So open up the book to page 27 or 111 and simply be open to the guidance that's there. You can really help it to further answer your questions above when you use this method. So, and if you're a more visual person, go back to the movies like I said and fast forward to 27 minutes in or 11 minutes in or 11 seconds, whatever it is. Anyway, you might want to use that and see where your guidance takes you. And like I said, the advice can work with film clips, music, videos, music, songs, whatever it is. Another movie that I was working with was Mars Attacks. Forwarded it to 1111, and Jack Nicholson, who played the president, was saying, "We're entering the dawn of a new era." So I found that to be a pretty powerful message, and I recommend that no matter what, just sit with that silently for a little bit and let the message really sink in. And I jotted down that makes me feel hopeful and ready to take on the world. That might do the same for you. And then the movies, books, or music that you do pick are part of a fabric of who you are. So think of your questions and movies and books as doorways into your intuition. They're symbolic keys. So this can really help you to unlock your deeper mystery of your life. Be curious to what you'll find. What do you expect? Let go of some of those expectations. And this, of course, might sound and seem strange at first, but you can have fun with it, and then you'll begin to see whether the advice that your numbers or your oracle answer brings in actually matches or blends with the answers that you've been recording all along. And if you're willing to dig a little deeper, you might look to the sutras or the Torah or the Quran or the Bible or any book that's popular, or sacred text, and reference that and the appropriate sections within them. And then if you're ready to study one of those, this might really have some deeper significance for yourself. Just allow yourself the time and the space to fully delve deeper into your own exploration. Don't give up if it seems weird at first. Just find a process that works for you. And at first, understanding and interpreting these symbols might seem daunting, but a little bit of time, a little bit of patience, a little bit of dedication, and you'll see that you're receiving guidance, and it's helping to shape your life in a new and deeper way. So back to the 111, numerologically, like I was saying before, the number 1 really represents creativity and inventiveness, being directed, being dedicated, being driven, having persistence. So you might ask yourself where these qualities are in your life. How are you using them for your growth and not as a way to limit yourself? So don't say, I feel bored because I'm not being creative. Wonder why you're not being more creative. Flip the question on its ear. And always wonder what you're building or creating right now and how it's helping you to be the best you that you can be. And wonder what new idea that you're bringing to the world. And I mentioned the tarot before, so you might look to all the magicians or the aces to better understand the ones, for instance, because they represent that number. And the magician really strongly relates to the independence, vitality, and power. Other characteristics might stand out for you, and pay attention to those. And the aces, similar qualities as it relates to your drive and stamina and creativity. So find a deck that speaks to you and really leave them somewhere that you're going to pass by regularly so that you can work with them, use them. Don't just do one reading for yourself and then put them away in a box. Use them. Help them be an extension of your intuition. Don't always rely on them. Use other tools and techniques. You let the world be your oracle, as I was talking about before, but always record your thoughts and feelings about what each card is bringing to you, and the cards can then help you to review any current challenges and opportunities that you're having in a new light, and help to empower yourself and sharpen your intuition rather than having to rely on others. So that's what I'm talking about, is really finding a way to rely and empower yourself so that you don't need to go find someone to do a reading for you. You can do your own reading. It's not bad to have someone do a reading for you once in a while, but you really want to empower yourself and be able to do your own readings. And that's what's coming to me now is the importance of compassion. So find a way to study that and bring that into your life too. That will help you to not be afraid of the messages that are coming through, because I'm reminded that dreams, although they can be scary at times, they're part of the overall oracle scheme, or whatever you want to call it, your whole bundle of oracle goodness, we'll call it. Your dreams can be very powerful, and some people are turned off because they get a dream that's really scary, and then they're afraid of looking at it because then they think they'll need to go see a psychologist or whatever. No. The image is the surface, and going deeper and beneath the surface, you're connecting with the healing message that the dream can bring. Same thing with the numbers. Allow yourself to go deeper and connect with the true message. And same thing with any kind of message that you're getting through the oracle. I mentioned some of mine, which was finding a heart pin that connected to a class I wanted to take, and another one was finding a gray building while I was lost that had my name on it, and that really spoke to me about listening to my heart, number one, and being unique and standing out, and not just being a Twitter person or Facebook person that puts stuff out and doesn't interact, but fully interacts and really wants. I really want to know about people. So again, you can contact us at 334-649-7204 on Skype or awakenradio.net. So know that your visions have a message and a purpose, and they be off clue that can help you to navigate your life, but you have to be willing to take the time to both understand your message and integrate the potential solutions back into your life. Just have faith and compassion for yourself, and be willing to dig. You might do that by asking important questions and having a curious mind, and don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. So be discerning, but allow your life to open and unfold in ways that you might not expect, but ways that feel good and bring more meaning into your life. And that might come by these numbers that people see, might come by being the oracle for yourself. So people often ask, well, now I'm having these visions, now what do I do? So you might think of yourself as sensitive or whatever you want to call it. Don't worry about it. Try to work with it. The common issue people have is they've been ignoring their dreams that they get at night, ignoring these outer symbols, so they get bigger and stronger. If you pay attention to them early, you can begin to work with the message that they have. Think of the message as a gift, and think of it as Christmas morning. Be excited that you have a message coming to you. Now, as a child, you probably wanted to rip open all the boxes and get rid of all that crazy wrapping paper. If you had, or on your birthday, open up the presents, whatever. Think of it as a big gift with brightly colored wrapping paper that you want to rip open and find the answer. But the answer isn't the end. It's really a beginning. So once you have your answer, you have to begin to wonder what it's connected to. And that's very important, as I was mentioning, to Colin before, maybe asking a question about what the answer really means. And it might take several questions to really get to the core meaning of your answer. So you might get precognitive dreams, you might get the recurring numbers, or you might be working with opening up to being your own oracle, whatever it is. You might not understand what the initial message is,